hello. Hola amigos, hola amigos, hola amigas. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening maybe, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Vanessa Vasquez, your Lima City guide. Hola Satyam, hola Tracy, hello. And today I'm going to be in company of a beautiful lady that is going to be also my local guide in the museum we're going to visit today. Her name is Fernanda. Hola, hola. Hola. And she's going to be with me along this tour. If you have a question in Spanish, please write it here for her directly. And if it's not in Spanish, if it's in English, just write it here as well for me to translate. Thank you so much for your visit. Thank you so much for your company today in this more or less 30 minutes of tour we're going to have. You're going to be fascinated by the history we're going to learn today. We are in the heart of the historic part of Lima, in a zone that is completely off the beaten path. There's no international tourism coming almost to this place. So you are going to be some of the first groups that this museum is going to receive after the pandemic from different parts of the world. So thank you so much for coming today virtually. And before we start, I want to give you an idea of what's around us. So let me just show you where we are in this moment. So hello, my friends. Thanks for joining. In about 3 minutes, we are going to have the chance of starting with this museum. Hi, Katie. Katie says, I work in a convent in England for 4 years. Wow, Katie. This convent you work in was Franciscan or Dominican? Let us know, please. I would love to know if it was also a Franciscan monastery or convent as the one we're going to visit today. Franciscan, oh, that's really lovely. It was a Franciscan convent in England. Oh, I'm sure you're going to find the history of this place fascinating, and also there will be lots of connections. Hola Liz, hola amiga, hello. Thanks for coming. Thank you. We are to start in about 2 minutes. No worries, you are not late. So here we are looking at a beautiful promenade, a beautiful sort of like a boulevard. Paseo is how we call it in Spanish, called the Paseo de los Descalzos or Alameda de los Descalzos in a more proper way. So this, let's say, sort of like promenade that is walled on the sides with different green areas, with trees, which are centenarial trees, was inaugurated in 1611. And it has a history connected, of course, with the convent we are about to see. It was my best job ever. Oh, Katie, I'm sure. I'm definitely sure. And I'm sure also our guide today will also explain how is working in a Franciscan convent and what is her impressions about working in a Franciscan convent. So we're going to have the chance of talking to her, asking her about how is the life nowadays in a convent. Of course, she's not a Franciscan. She's a guide here. She works here supporting the guides of the convent. But I think it would be lovely to know about her own impressions. So we are about to start in 27 seconds. And we are going now to move a little bit so you can have a chance to see the front of the monastery before we officially start. So look at the beautiful trees around. We have the ceiba trees over there, the one with the pink flower in this section. We have different ficus. We have also lots of vendors outside. This is a really busy part of Lima. The name of the district where we are is called Rimac District. Rimac is one of the 43 districts of Lima. The city of Lima is divided in districts, and each district is completely independent from the other. So meaning that there are 43 different realities in Lima. This is the very first time I'm showing you Rimac District here in Hago. So I'm sure all of what you're going to see around will be also very different. Right? So we are now in front of the convent of the shoeless. In Spanish, convento de los descalzos. Once again, and now that we are officially starting our tour, I want to first of all introduce you our local guide. Por favor, dinos tu nombre.
My name is Fernanda.
And she is now working here in the museum, supporting also the guides of the museum. She's also guiding sometimes, helping also inform tourists, inform visitors. So today she has kindly accepted to be my guide and help me also in this convent. So thank you so much. Muchas gracias, amiga. And now we're going to start with this visit. If you want to ask anything, just use the comment section, my friends. We are checking your questions. If you want to ask something directly to our guide, please write it in Spanish. So in that way, she can also directly answer. I'm going to be translating as well. So now we are going to start with this visit. Let's start, and give me a thumbs up if you're ready, please. Give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, give me any reaction. Gracias, Tracy. Gracias, Liz. So, gracias, Pamela, Jackie. So, well, I'm sure you're going to love this museum. Gracias, Ashoka, Peggy, and be all welcome to Lima again. So, let's start. My friends, today we are going to visit the convent of the shoeless. In Spanish, convento de los descalzos. The reason of the name shoeless is because this convent, which was a cloister convent, was a convent of a wing of the Franciscan order that was more penitent, that was the one that wanted to live a more extreme life, more in the way how Francis of Assisi wanted to live his life, in extreme poverty, right, with no possessions. So one of the things, for example, that characterized the Franciscans of this order was the fact that they used sandals instead of shoes, or even went barefoot. So this name of the convent was related with the way how the Franciscans look, like being barefoot, being shoeless, right? Convento de los Descalzos. But actually, the name of this convent is Convento de Nuestra Señora de los Ángeles, or Convent of Our Lady of the Angels, referring to Virgin Mary as well. The Franciscan order is devoted of the Virgin Mary of the Immaculate Conception, so therefore we have lots of elements in the house, lots of paintings that also recall the Virgin Mary. So we have some questions here. Oh, Adrian, hi from Boston. Oh, hola, hola, amiga. So, Katie, is the convent still viable? The convent is still existing, my friend. We have some franciscans. Tenemos franciscanos aquí, ¿verdad? ¿Cuántos franciscanos más o menos?
Aproximadamente 12.
We have about 12 Franciscans that are living here in the convent. Most of these Franciscans are elderly Franciscans, are older, right? We have here at the entrance the image of a saint, which sometimes is confused with St. Francis of Assisi. He is a Francis, but not Francis of Assisi. This is our Francis. This is Francis of Solano, or Francis Solanum. And Francisco Solano was a very special figure connected with this order, because he was the first guardian father of this house, pretty much the mentor, let's say, of the order of the Franciscans who came here. And he's a saint, by the way. He is a saint. He lived in Peru. He was born in Spain, in Cordoba, in Spain. And therefore, we consider him to be the most important saint of this house after Francis of Assisi. What you will recognize in this image is the fact that the biggest difference between Francis of Assisi and Francis Solano is the violin, or ravel, which is a type of violin, right, that is always in his hand. Right? We're going to talk about this in a little while, so let's keep walking. So, oh, Tracy, my late husband was Francisco. Oh, interesting, Tracy, very, very interesting. We have of course, a white Franciscan community. Of course, the secular wing, like Janet is commenting, which are people that are not order friars, but they are supporters, civilians, as supporters of the order. We have the female order, which is the Clarisas. The Clarisas are the female order, sister order of the Franciscans in the world. So here you can see the entrance to the museum. This is a museum that is open to the general public. My friends, if you are here in Peru, if you come to Lima, don't miss out to come to this convent. You're going to be in love with it. Here some of the information about the attention hours. And the prices, 10 soles, is about $3 US, right? But they also can offer, for an additional fee, a guided service. So for about $5 more or less, a little bit than more than $5, you will have additional your guide here. Look at this beautiful entranceway. And this entranceway, which is a cloister dedicated to the visitors, right? We have 4 cloisters within the monastery. So this one here is the cloister of the visitors, the one where people used to come to meet the Franciscans, the one where if you were not a Franciscan, you were welcome to, but it was just this one. You could not go any farther. This was a cloister convent. So it means that Franciscans that were here were not able to leave the house unless possibly they had a special permit. And what they had inside this monastery, it was what they needed, right? That's why also there is a nursery section, because if they got sick, they couldn't go away from here. So we're going to be talking about this in a little while, right? So we're going to keep walking around to show you some things. And also, we have the paintings. There were a lot of beautiful paintings. Let me, for example, show you this one here that has been restored recently. We have a team of restorers that are working constantly in this house. Yes, Marek is here. Everybody knows my husband. So Marek is here, my bodyguard. So we have a series of restoration works happening inside the convent. And these restoration works are being paid or subventioned by the order and also by the tickets that people are buying to come to here. So the cloister that we are visiting, Franciscans are missionaries. Yes, Caddy, it is true. But the people who were here, there was a certain group of people that wanted to stay permanently here with no contact, with no external contact. That's why we have also, they are missionaries too in the group. But there were people that were here living in isolation. For example, in downtown Lima, we have a beautiful church that I've also showed you during my city tours in Lima, that is called the Iglesia de San Francisco el Grande, which is the oldest also Franciscan church we have in Lima. And there we have not the concept of cloister, right? So the reason of having different convents, Franciscan or even Dominican, for example, was that you could choose according to the lifestyle you wanted to have, right? The one that made you feel more comfortable, right? So here we have the representation, of course, of St. Francis Solano. How we can represent or how we know St. Francis Solano. For example, you can see here the stigmatas of Francis of Assisi, the stigmatas of Francis of Assisi. So St. Francis of Assisi was the first stigmatized saint in the history of Christendom. Was the first one that received the stigmata. He was born in the year 1182, and a period in the life of European people in which, for example, there were many wars for reconquering territories that were Christian originally, taking them away from the Muslims. So he enrolled in fighting for the cause, right, in these holy wars. And that in part was the reason of how he left the vain life, a life of sin that he lived, because he was a womanizer, a man of flesh, right? And that also transformed him. You know that when people go to war, never go back the same, right? So this is one of the reasons why possibly he was deeply affected because of the war, right? If you want to know more about the life of Francis of Assisi, yes, Liz, Patricia, there's a colleague of mine in Assisi, Italy, that has tours that are wonderful about him. So we have also here in this section some frescoes. They also have enclosed orders, which is what she's speaking. Yes, exactly. Yes, Jackie. Yes. Thank you so much for that clarification also. So look at all of these frescoes, right? These frescoes had been restored recently, although the museum has several years. The museum became, let's say, a possibility in the 70s. In the year 1979 is when it was made a decision of opening the museum. And 2 years after, in 1981, finally, this place became a museum. So lots of the walls that now we can see with the colors outside used to be painted in the white you see in this moment. And why so much color, right? Why, for example, the representation of chandeliers or vases with flowers, right? The reason is because this room was pretty much empty. Let me move to the other side. Used to be empty. Right? There were no furnishing because remember this was a order that wanted to live life in extreme, right? So to give an appearance of having more things in these rooms, the Franciscans painted the walls with flowers, with sort of like furnishing painted. So was very, very curious, of course, right? But they had not really much. This place was used as a prayer section, confessionary also for confessions, right? Look at the paintings, they were even up to this section, right? And, in this moment is the section where people acquire or purchases their tickets, right? So we will continue now. We are leaving the cloister of the porteria. Porteria is related with the door, right? The entrance, the admission section. Do you know whether they were frescoes or murals? Good question. I'm going to ask to our guy if she has a better information, because she's not a restorer, but I can ask. Una pregunta. ¿Sabes si estas pinturas son murales o frescos?
Son pinturas murales.
Son pinturas murales, so murals. We're talking about murals. And this series that we see that used to be, everywhere, like painted in the walls, they were usually natural forms of flowers, right? We have also in some sections, for example, here, some intents of finding the original colors of the walls. Do the nun ever enter the museum? The nuns, do you mean, Kathy? The nuns had their own convents. Yes, Kathy. The nuns had their own convents that still are nowadays existing, by the way. The convents of the Clarissas is how we call them. So, over here, we can see that we are getting into another cloister, which, in fact, has something really interesting. Besides the fact that we have colors on the walls, we can see also the material that compounds, that is part of the wall. The composition of the wall is made mainly on adobe. Do you know what is adobe, my friends? Have you ever heard about it? Please let me know in the comment section. Yes, of course, Liz. I've talked about this in several occasions in all the tours in Lima, right? The city of Lima is extremely like movie city. We have lots of earthquakes. We move all the time. So the adobe is really suiting for a city that is constantly shaking. Adobe is made from mud bricks, a combination with organic materials such as exactly straw. Also, we use the mud from the floor. We mold this as a brick, and the walls are quite thick. It's necessary, of course, to have thick walls for this material to function correctly. Sometimes the foundations were mixed with stone, like a stone base, and then the rest was made of mud bricks. Straw and clay and water. Lorraine, yes, of course, yes, pretty much like that. But remember, we use here the mud, the dirt, or the soil, right? That is made like a, let's say, like a Play-Doh, let's say, right? The consistency, and then we leave it dry under the sun. So that's why we call it sun dry. And then after we put on the walls, yes? And that's how we form the walls. And here we are in the second cloister, which is the cloister of the guardian, the Claustro del Guardián, which is in fact the oldest cloister we have in this museum. This cloister dates back to the period of the creation of the convent. The convent was inaugurated in the year 1595. And in 1595, we already had another convent for Franciscans, which was the one of downtown Lima, which is just 2 blocks away, the main square. So there was already an order there. But remember, there was a group of Franciscans that were eager to live a life more simple, more extreme, more humble, in the same way Francis of Assisi lived his life, right? So this is why, and by the idea of a saint, also another saint, the second Archbishop of Peru, Santo Toribio de Mogrovejo, he, which is also from the same generation of our saint of the house, Saint Francis of Solano, he gave the idea, why not to build another convent, but this time something more, extreme. A recollection, like a recollection, right? Like a cloister style. So we have here a patio in the style of the typical cloisters that you will find in Latin America with the Spanish influence. So we have cloister with a central garden. Muchas gracias, Lorraine. Thanks for your support. It helps a lot us to continue doing these tours. So here we have, gracias, amiga. So here we have these passages that are surrounded with rooms, right? A garden in the central section. Are the shacks in the background? Oh, Katie, sorry, I do not get about the shacks in the background. Do you mean the rooms, my friend? Oh, so yes, I might be, right? The rooms you're asking for, right? So the celdas is how we call them too. But because this became sort of like the most important cloister over the years, most of the Franciscans were not living around this section, because this was the cloister of the guardian, meaning that the guardian, sort of like the principal of the order, was the one who lived here. The director at some point of the order lived here, guardian, right? And also, something very curious is that there were many people of Lima, in downtown Lima in that time, like wealthy people, like viceroys, for example, benefactors, that wanted to, escape from the noises of Lima, from the busyness of Lima, from the gossips of Lima. So they wanted to stay away of this and ask the Franciscans to receive them, or to have this time of mental fasting. And that's why also these visitors came to live here for a period of time. By the way, I want to show you something. Color buildings on the hill. Oh, yes, Kathy. Yes. Yes, it is true. In a moment, I will show you that, of course. The shacks that our friend Kathy was referring to are these humble houses on the hills. Yes. Look at this, my friends. This flower you see over here is the flower of Amancaes. The flower of Amancaes is the flower of Lima. I think I'm going to get closer. Oh, I don't want to step over the grass. So let's go over here because this is a very special. The flower of Amancaes is the flower of the city of Lima. It only grows in the city, in the hills of the city, and it flowers, it blossoms in the winter time, also starting fall, winter, because it needs lots of humidity. So that is the period in the year when we have lots of humidity. It doesn't need too much sun, honestly. It dies actually if it's exposed to too strong sun. And let me show you here some nice views of it. Look at this one. So beautiful. You have a perfect picture of this flower, the flower of Amancaes. And maybe you remember that I've shown you that the flag of Lima is yellow. The flag of Lima, one of the reasons why the flag of Lima is yellow is because the flower of Amancaes. At least this is one of the stories that we have about the origin of the flag of Lima. So, well, we have some beautiful Amancaes flowers, right? So let's keep going. I will show also, again, my friend Katie, these humble houses that we can see in the distance. And yes, indeed, in the hills of Lima is where the poor people live, right? So I think from here we have some interesting views of that. Can you see those houses in the upper part, right? So on the hills of Lima, this still is, the section where the mountains are starting to grow, also is considered a low-income zone. This is where the first shanty towns of Lima were created, right? So thanks for pointing out that, Kathy. Thank you. So we're going to see also another section. We have here, can we go in? ¿Sí? ¿Podemos ver eso? Ay, muchas gracias. So we have gracias, a special section, a room called the room of the visitations, the room of the visitas, right? So do you remember that I was talking about these influential people, these viceroys, these rich Limanians that wanted to escape from the city, right? So they sometimes ask the order to receive them. And let's say to have a sort of like a fasting period, mental fasting period, I think would be called differently nowadays, right? But the idea was to escape from the noises, right, of the city. So the very guardian father took care of those visitors. So here is where the guardian father met them. And if they needed to stay here in the house, is that Archangel Michael on the left? Sí, I think so. Yes, my dear. ¿Este será el Arcángel Miguel? ¿Tú crees que está allá? Me parece que sí, ¿verdad? Sí, yes. Thank you, Liz. So they look like church bells. Oh, yes, Noreen, the flowers, indeed. Yes. And Liz, maybe these flowers, Amancaes flowers, might be from a family of flowers that can be found in different parts of the world. So indeed. So we would call it retreat. Yes, Noreen, that is the word I was trying to find out. Thank you. Retreat, retiro, right? Un retiro, un retreat. So here we have a section which is the prayers room nowadays, but it used to be where the visitors sleep, right? So this was the zone where the chambers of the visitors used to be located. By the way, my friends, I'm extremely surprised that the internet is so strong in this location. Must be a miracle in part. Look at the top part also, how the light. Yes, Liz, I'm so happy that the signal is so strong. Look at the light, how the light used to come in the rooms, right, with these skylights, right? Skylight windows. And we have also, look at even the toiletry or the systems how people used to wash their hands, their faces with water that they were brought. So in this way they used to clean themselves in the morning, right? Hello, hello. So these original decoration pieces from the house were put for us to have a better impression of how life used to be back then, right? And here is where the guardian of the house used to sleep. In this room, we have a series of paintings dedicated to Virgin Mary. Remember that the Franciscan order is devoted to Virgin Mary, especially to the Immaculate Conception. So we have several paintings dedicated to the Immaculate Conception. These are paintings from the 17th century in most of the cases, paintings that were made in a period when Lima started to produce wonderful artists, local artists that emulated the European styles, for example, the Flemish style of the paintings, the Baroque painting style, but also started to give local twists to the paintings. And that's how the Cusqueño art school started, the Limanian art school started, the Quiteño art school started, which are possibly the most famous schools of art that South America gave to the world, right? So this was the room where the guardian used to occupy, and as you can imagine, the very guardian was the one who took care of the needs of the visitors. So he himself, muchas gracias, he himself, a pigeon. We have a pigeon up there. Oh, so what a quiet place for a pigeon, right? And so he himself was the one who offered the food to the visitors, took care of the visitors, right? As a way of thanking the visit they received. And here we have some paintings dedicated to Francis of Assisi, Saint Francis of Assisi. How we can recognize Saint Francis of Assisi? Because of the stigmata, and usually because of the skull, for example, in the hand. That's another thing. But we have a painting that will show us Francis of Solano here. And Francis of Solano, as many of the saints of that time, but as well as many of the very monks of that period in the colonial times, did not have any paintings made of their faces, of themselves, alive, when they were alive. And that is because, as a way of modesty, they would never accept a painting made of them, because it was expensive to have a painting of you made, and only rich people had those. So that's why these men, these Franciscans in this case, did not have any paintings of themselves until, in some cases, they died. This is a post-mortem painting, and you can see also the way how, for example, the face of the saint is represented. So many of the paintings we have of saints nowadays are post-mortem. And here we have a representation of the Ravel. The Ravel is a small violin of 3 chords that he used to play merrily, very happy, before he used to preach people. So the Ravel was a way for him to connect with the people that he was to pray. He played very well the Ravel. He also had very good voice, so far we know. He was very skillful with his voice. So therefore, he was a person that also had a charisma, right? A big charisma. And here, as I was saying, a post-mortem painting of St. Francis of Solano. Remember that this is the room of the guardian. Sorry, I think the light is not permitting us too well to show you the painting, but maybe if I go farther away, I think, or maybe if I move over here. Okay. Our guy is closing the door for maybe you to have a better view image of Francis of Solano, right? So here you can see this post-mortem painting as well, right? Francis of Solano, who died in the year 1610, was a man that gave it all to the order. He loved the Franciscan mission, and he was a missionary as well. So that's why nowadays Francis of Solano is considered to be the most important Franciscan saint in the New World, from the New World, and also one of the most beloved saints of Latin America, right? So we will continue now over here, and just to give you a final view of the patio. Muchas gracias. And we are coming almost to the end of this event. I want to invite you also to a part 2. We will make a part 2. Una parte 2 sería bonito, ¿verdad? So a part 2 of this event, because we have more to see. We have way more to show in this convent. And the idea will be also to have you in a second occasion to visit a little bit more of the house. In the next occasion, we're going to visit the nursery. We're going to visit also a chapel, which is amazing. And we're going to have the chance also of exploring a little bit more, digging in the history of the cloister community of the Franciscans in Lima. Remember that this is a museum. This is a museum that is actually open to any visitor to just show you this piece of the history of Peru, the history of Lima. When is part 2? Yes, I don't have it ready. I would like to know also if the time we are doing this tour is good. We can also do a little bit later. Also, give me a suggestion also when you do the comment. I'm going to be trying to stick to that time. And hopefully we're going to be doing another part almost around the same time. See, so I would love to have your presence in that next occasion. Where are the current nuns? Kathy, let me ask to our guide, where is the closer convent of the nuns, okay? ¿Dónde se encuentra ahora el convento para las monjas? ¿Lo sabes? ¿Sabes dónde?
¿De monjas?
Sí, de las monjas.
No, mayormente están enfocados en lo que es centro de Lima, porque aquí solamente es de varones.
Claro, sí. En el centro de Lima tienen su propio convento, ¿verdad?
Sí, todavía hay. Si no, la Merced también funciona como convento de monjitas. No sé si específicamente de la orden franciscana, pero sé que funciona. La gran mayoría funciona.
Perfect. So our guy says that yes, we have a still active convent of Clarissas, the nuns of St. Clair, and it is located in downtown Lima. Yes, and it's still an active one. So, gracias, Tracy. I'm so happy that anytime will be good. I am going to be bringing a tour soon. I'm sure it's going to be on the weekdays, because on the weekends is when more people come, and we are looking for more calm environment for these tours, right? So, oh, Liz, I'm so happy that you're going to be traveling. So I hope you can join also for the part 2. I'm sure it's going to be in still some few more days, so no worries, there's no hurry. So, muchas gracias, amigos. Thanks for your support, by the way. Your tip support helps a lot. Gracias, Corinne. Gracias, Liz. It helps a lot. Hego and us guys to continue working and doing these tours. So, muchas gracias for your participation. Gracias, Nicole. And please come to the next part 2, that is going to be Not immediately, no worries. I'm going to be giving information soon on when it's going to happen. So thanks a lot and hope to see you soon again. Muchas gracias for your support. You can see also there is a group of students that is here finishing their tours. So, well, we have students, so important also to see them coming to places like museums because it's fundamental for their education. So thank you so much, my friend. Oh, muchas gracias. Thanks for your support, Nicole, Satya, Marilyn, Peggy, Adrian. Love to you all and see you in part 2 of this visit. Hope to see you also later. I'm going to be an explanation from my home. So join, please. Take care. Bye-bye. So let me give you a final postcard of this museum. And best to you all. Take care, my friends. Muchas gracias, Pamela. Gracias, amigos. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Bye-bye.